And welcome back to Bridging the Geekdoms, everybody. I am Robert Slavinsky, and with me today is the new Wolverine, who will first appear in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Give it up for Kenneth Yambo! Yeah, it'd be a lot cooler if there was applause or something.
I'd be honest with you, if you're going to set me up as a different character every week, like a new iteration of a character every week, you might start attracting some talent agencies out there. So I'd be very careful, especially if you don't want to lose your co-host just yet. So be very careful. But spoiler alert, I am not in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But we'll
Everybody
get into
else
who
is,
actually
but
is. Yeah.
We'll get into that later. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, our setup is pretty simple. First 10, 15, 20 minutes of the show usually consists of a few hot topics from the past week, be it reactions, reviews, or newsworthy items to discuss. The rest of the show then is dedicated to a main topic for the week. This week's main topic is the Multiverse of Madness and what theories we have and you all have for that upcoming movie. If you are watching live, which we encourage everyone to do, feel free to comment in the live chat on the topics we are discussing to get the conversation moving. So, how's your week been, man?
It's been pretty calm, actually. It's quite in contrast to what the past month has done, but it's been a pretty relatively calm week. Hope everything's calm over there as well. But
yeah, I tell you, we talked about it last week. I was dealing with like a sinus thing last week, and then Tuesday I got hit with a nasty stomach virus, which kept me down for about 2 days. That sucked. I'm only now starting to kind of feel like myself again after the past couple of weeks.
You sounded and looked it for sure. So,
so
glad
it's
to have
nice.
Rob back.
Yeah, it is kind of nice. But let's kind of jump into the first thing. As we've been doing every week for the past few weeks, we've been starting off our shows discussing Moon Knight. And Moon Knight episode 5 dropped just yesterday. And I didn't get a chance to watch it till today. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I just, like that episode, there's something about it. Like, I really, really enjoyed it, but there were parts of it that I'm sitting there like, it could have been better, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it was about this episode. What did you think of it?
So I thought it was long overdue. Obviously, we needed some sort of backstory to kind of give us the bigger picture in terms of the character Moon Knight. I thought it was definitely one of the more emotionally packed episodes that we've been exposed to. I think that wasn't lacking at all. I do agree with you that at some points it's just, can we delve into the action and stuff? But I thought a lot of it was important for the story. Do I wish that this series had a couple more episodes to breathe? For sure. Just reading online today, it sounds like Moon Knight's season finale will be the shortest out of all of the season finales of all of the Disney Plus shows. And for a show that it feels like it still has a lot to unpack, it's going to be really interesting to see if they close out on a high note or if they kind of close out on a more of we wanted more sort of idea. So I'm on the fence about this show personally. I think there's been some missed opportunities, but I do think overall the show is high quality, obviously. But I definitely think that this episode was important, but the fact that we only have one more episode left and I feel like we still don't know 70% of what's going on is kind of frustrating, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait to see until next week to see what's how it closes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm struggling with it because, like you said, we have one episode left, and this episode, while it was good, it had its moments. I think you put it best. Emotionally packed, and it's one of those things. It's kind of like, yeah, it gave us all this episode, but it's not setting us up for a finale. It doesn't seem like, and
At all.
The finale is next week. Not only that, but this is the series finale technically because they have made a statement that this is only a 1-season thing. This is a limited series story, an event. So where is this character going from here? And again, I didn't hate the episode. I just felt a little shortchanged because we got one episode left and we're hearing it's the shortest of the bunch. And they got a lot of ground to cover. Like, how's Conchu going to get back? What about Steven? What about Moon Knight? Like, there's so much that they have to fix and like stop Arthur. And what about all the other Egyptian gods? Like, there's so much they have to cover. I don't know. Like, again, this episode was good. It was good to a point. I just feel like, I heard something really interesting that and now this was before I saw this episode, so this was a theory somebody had before this latest episode, that this entire show has been Mark on the journey to the afterlife. This is him in his like purgatory, kind of, where he's heading towards the afterlife. I think, sitting here today, seeing what happened in this past episode, I guess that's not the case. But I think that would be a good way to do it, to kind of like end it there for him. Like, all right, it's done, it's over, no more Moon Knight after this. But I don't know. I want them to do a little bit more with this character.
Something that I feel like I'm not grasping is, so as we currently stand, spoiler alert, as we currently stand, Mark is dead, correct?
Yeah, Mark is dead as we currently stand because he was shot.
Right.
And this episode was him actually heading to the afterlife.
So I personally think that cleared up a lot of clouds for me. I think that maybe if the show ends just kind of, stopping Harrow, doing what they have to do, but the fact that it doesn't change that Mark is dead kind of maybe lends some credence into it being a little limited time series. I think it would be criminal to the character itself, honestly, because I just feel like there's so much appetite for more of this character in the larger MCU. But
absolutely,
it's going to be interesting, honestly. I think, and I'll keep repeating it week after week, Ethan Hawke's Harrow is just a highlight for me. I think he has truly shown off his complete repertoire in terms of acting. And I think it would... I don't know. I just have a feeling that in typical Marvel fashion, Harrow's going to be dealt with in the first 15 minutes of the episode, and it's just going to be kind of tying loose ends and credits, and maybe we get a post-credit scene. It doesn't really sound like that's the direction that they might be heading in, but like I said, I think if I'm not mistaken, every finale has had a post-credits scene. I do not quote me on that. I might be completely wrong on that.
I think they have. I think every show has.
I think it'd be interesting to see if they follow suit with that and where that exactly goes. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a Blade tease gets thrown in there or something.
I think that's probably the most likely. No, I'm sorry. No, not Blade. Werewolf by Night. I think that's going to be the most likely to be teased here, especially because that's on the docket to come out later this year, if I'm not mistaken. So, it'd be interesting to see.
It's going to be fascinating for sure. I have high hopes for it, but given their history, their short history in terms of Disney Plus shows, it does seem like we might be in for a little fast-paced finale. So it's going to be hard-hitting, but hopefully they get to cover enough story and cover enough of the loose ends that have been left that we feel satisfied at the end of it. But I guess wait till next week for that one.
Absolutely. All right, but let us know in the comments what you think of Moon Knight so far. Did this last episode excite you for the finale next week? Are you worried that the finale is not going to live up to what this show has been thus far because it's going to be a shorter episode and it's only the 6th episode? Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on all of that. Now,
public service announcement. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine.
Please, Marvel, give us more episodes of these shows. I think it's just do these shows justice. No matter how many what the episode count is, fans will tune in, week out. So just
with that, I kind of think it has to serve the show. So if they write a story and it's 6 episodes, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But give it a chance to be successful so you can then plan a second season or something else. I think what's hurting this so much for a lot of fans right now is we know that there's no second season because of them putting it up for the award for the Emmys for a limited series, which means it cannot have a second season. Otherwise, the award would be taken away from them had they won or if they win. So I think you have to give these characters and these stories and these shows a chance to breathe and succeed before you say, okay, well, this is it. We're not doing another one. All right. So with all that, we're going to move on now. For those of you who are not aware, CinemaCon is going on right now this week, and real quick, CinemaCon is a really cool event. I hope one day that I get to go to it because this is not an event where they announce things. This is an event where they highlight what's coming out over the next year for cinemas, and they hype up the theater owners. Like, look, we're coming to theaters, we're bringing these with us. This is what you get to get excited about. Sorry. So that's why I really like CinemaCon, because it's not so much of, oh, what are they going to announce? It's, oh, we know what they're going to talk about. So let's see what they're going to talk about. The first thing, and we're going to just cover some highlights here, not everything, but this is probably the thing I'm least excited about when it comes to like the nerd realm of
Mhm.
movies. But Avatar 2 has now got an official title, The Way of Water. What do you think of that title there?
Kind of confuses me with like maybe book 2 of like Avatar: The Last Airbender in a way, like maybe the water book in a way. I was thinking about that all day to say, so finally got it out. But I'm actually one of those people that was kind of whatever about the first Avatar. Like I liked it. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was a beautifully shot movie for what it was. James Cameron, quite honestly, probably at not his finest, but just producing James Cameron things. But my excitement for this movie is meh. I'm not going to be there
Yeah.
premiere night. I'm not going to go out of my way to see this movie. I will see it eventually, but
You know,
it's
they
just
they showed some footage to the people there, and I watched some YouTubers, I listened to some pundits who have gone, who go to this event and to these types of events, and the one thing that they said is that during the movie, or during not the movie, but during the what they were shown, they were actually taken out of it because things just looked fake, and that's kind of what ruined the first one for me. I'm a real stickler for CGI, and I can I can get past certain things, but Avatar to me felt so unrealistic and unreal due to the CGI and everything that I was not able to enjoy the movie. And that's what worries me for this one, because James Cameron, he wants to push the bar, and I give him credit for that. But sometimes I think he pushes it too far, and he's focusing so much on this 3D aspect yet again, and this is going to be a 3D event, that I just don't I have no hype for it. I just have
no
no hype for it. I didn't even really like the first one story wise. It was just Pocahontas. I
fair.
mean, it wasn't anything special
Yeah,
or new.
yeah, no.
But
I find it hard to believe that this movie is going to top the total gross of the first movie, which is what I think might be the not
the highest
the
grossing,
yeah
it is.
I don't think that it's the complete bottom line for them, but if that's what they're aiming for, I think quite frankly it might be a little bit of a long shot. Not gonna
I
lie to you.
I'd be shocked if it broke the top 10. I'm
Yeah.
being completely serious here.
Nope.
I don't think it's even going to crack the top 10. I know a lot of people want to sit there and say, "Oh, this is going to be the movie to beat this year." And that
No.
very well may be the movie to beat this year. But what's it competing against right now? The Batman. Then we got Doctor Strange, Thor, and Jurassic World. Like, those are the big movies this year.
Yeah.
So
I just given the genre that's coming out this year, I just find it hard to I mean obviously people will go see it. It's definitely just kind of sells itself in a way, and I'm glad that they settled on a title instead of Avatar 2, but I think we both have said, it's the hype level is just not there right now, and it might as well change as time goes on, but for me right now, I'm perfectly fine with what we have coming out. And yeah, like I said, it's a movie I will see, but not something that will go out of my way to see.
yeah, yeah. The next thing that I'm excited to talk about, and this is something that I am looking forward to this year, is Black Adam. Now, they did show a trailer at CinemaCon. This trailer may be shown to the public. That's another thing. A lot of things that are shown at CinemaCon aren't always shown to the public ever. Sometimes they'll release a trailer and it'll come out a few weeks later. So I'm kind of hoping we get a trailer here from Black Adam in the next couple weeks. But some highlights from that trailer that people have talked about. One, is a line where he says, where Hawkman is yelling at him and goes, "Heroes don't kill people." And Black Adam goes, "Well, I do." Which is just a badass line in my opinion. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
And then
100%.
another highlight is they showed like clips, and in the trailer he catches a missile being shot at him, and he catches it midair, and then it explodes around him. So I think it's going to be a badass movie. I really do think that if anybody's going to help put the DC universe back on track, it's going to be The
The
Rock.
Rock, yeah, 100%. Franchise Viagra, as they like to call him. So it's I'm excited for it. I'm a little worried that we are going to get a little more of a taste of this weird hybrid Marvel DC movie. Like any movie with The Rock will have one-liners in it. That's just a given at this point. But I hope that it does lean into more of the characters' seriousness in a way. He is one of if not the most powerful being in this universe. So I do hope that they do give him justice and they show off his powers in a way.
Yeah.
I also hope that this leads kind of into Shazam 2 in a way. My biggest hope is that somehow they're able to squeeze like a reference to maybe a future battle with him between him and Superman, whoever that may be. But I have high hopes for this movie, and I think that it's a good step forward in the right direction in terms of characters that they're focusing on. And this movie's, as we said a couple of shows ago, this movie's been in development since I believe 2008. So
Yeah, he even came out on stage and said like this has been in development for the last 10 years, like
yeah,
he's excited about it. He's excited to finally get it out there. So
I think the suit, personally, I think the suit looks awesome. I
yeah.
hope there's different variations of the suit, but if we just get the suit that we've seen so far, I think in live action that's going to look quite honestly sick. So it's just gonna have to be what it is. But I'm excited for this project for sure. So I can't honestly wait to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Moving on, we're going to talk real quick about this here. And that is finally, we get some confirmation that there's going to be a Batman 2. Surprise!
One of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood ever, honestly. But
For real.
yeah.
But, courtesy of our boy Kenneth Yambo here, he wrote an article over at theculturenerd.org just highlighting everything about the announcement. Let's see real quick. Matt Reeves, you can check out Matt Reeves' statement on the announcement below. Matt Reeves says, "Thank you all for the tremendous support for the Batman. We couldn't have gotten here without the faith and enthusiasm for all your teams around the world. I'm excited to jump back into this world for the next chapter." And it goes without saying, not only is Matt Reeves going to be back, but so is Robert Pattinson. Most likely the rest of the cast will be back as well. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, depending on what happens with Colin Farrell's Penguin in his spin-off show, he might be back. So I think that's kind of where, it's expected to see these people back, or most of them at least.
Yep.
But here's a question for you, and we'll definitely dive more into it as we get closer to when this movie comes out and as rumors start to pop up. But who would you like to see as the villain in this movie?
So I feel like with the amount of people that I've asked and just reading online, everyone's going straight towards the Joker. And I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn, not too much. I would honestly do either Hush or the Court of Owls. I think there's been a lot of hints in that. I think there's enough hints in that first movie in the Batman that kind of hint towards the overall structure of Gotham just being completely engulfed in corruptness and just it's just a systematic corruption that Batman doesn't really know the scope of it. So I think that would be an interesting way to go. I think the games did it a lot of justice in terms of intrigue and a storyline that would follow the Court of Owls. Hush for me would also be a top tier villain for me for the sequel to focus on. I think they also laid down enough hints in terms of where Carmine Falcone and Bruce's father there were hints in there. I'm not going to really spoil it too much just in case anybody, if you're the last person on earth that hasn't seen this movie, but there are hints that the reporter that was killed in the Batman, or was hinted that it was killed in the Batman, might have some sort of relationship to Thomas Elliot in terms of maybe being the father of Thomas Elliot or whatever. So I'm going to leave it up to that. But those are my two options. I'm interested to hear your take. What direction would you go with it?
Well,
If you
I'm
were
I'm
helming
with
it,
you. I don't want to see the Joker.
not
At
yet, at
least,
least.
no, but no, not even yet. I don't want to see him as a main villain in this potential trilogy, because if I remember correctly, Matt Reeves was planning a trilogy from the
Right.
get go and everything. So I don't want to see the Joker in this. Not just because I wasn't a fan of what we saw of Barry Keoghan's Joker in that deleted scene, but I think it's a character that we've explored so many times elsewhere that I think it'd be okay to leave that to the side, even if they have him in a spin-off series or something like that.
That's where I think is probably going to be the best utilized bridge for him. You mentioned that the Penguin series is kind of give us an update in terms of where his story is going to go, but I think maybe fitting him into that Arkham Asylum series that has kind of been in a little bit of
Yeah.
development would be honestly fascinating. What I would do with that series is do a psychological profile of every single, or maybe like 8 rogues of in Batman's rogue gallery, and have the last episode be the Joker, and from there kind of see where the reaction goes,
Yeah.
hit, miss, whatever. But that's how I would do it. I know a lot of other people would have different opinions about it, and some other people would throw the Joker right into it. But I think maybe getting a scene actually within the movie with the Joker is a nice bridge that, maybe in the future we'll touch upon this relationship and story. Because personally, I'm intrigued. There seems to be a great deal of history between these two characters already, and it's only his second year. But it kind of seems like he's the first villain that Robert Pattinson's Batman's come across. So
Mhm.
I think there's definitely room for future storytelling. But I'm with you kind of. We've gotten enough
Yeah.
Joker the past couple of years, so I
But
think it's wrapped. Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't mind them doing something interesting with, say, like, I like the idea of Hush, and depending on which direction they go with it, do they go the direction where Hush is Edward Nigma, or in this, because he wasn't Edward Nigma in this movie, the Riddler, that is. Do they go that route where it's the Riddler? And I think if they were to go that route, I think it would be better served in the final chapter,
Yeah.
which can also play into the Court of Owls as well. So I think that both of those characters, Hush and the Court of Owls, could be pushed for the final chapter. For this one though, I think, see, it's tough because I don't like the way this movie the first one ended, where he's like this symbol of hope. I don't like
Yeah.
that. But what would be a good villain to bring that all crashing down? And that's kind of what you got to think about, because you have to put him on his heels. And right now, the city is standing behind him and supporting him, and with him on everything. So, what is the best character to kind of twist that? And honestly, I don't know, because I want to see somebody that we haven't seen before. I don't want a Two-Face. I don't want a Bane. I don't want a Ra's al Ghul, even though I think it would be cool to see her, Ghul in this iteration. But I want to see something that we haven't seen before, and
I
I
think
think
a
it's gonna be
grounded
tough.
take. I think a grounded take on Victor Freeze. I know that that's been a suggestion of a lot of people, that of villains that they
Yeah,
would like to see get a modern interpretation. I think that would be interesting. I think it would be a little tough in this universe to keep him
yeah,
as grounded as maybe Matt Reeves would prefer to be. But that would be another interesting proposition for me. But I think honestly, the story's natural progression probably leans more into like the Court of Owls. But I guess we'll just have to see. I think I think since the sequel was just announced, I think details will be coming a little more quickly than people expect. But I can't wait. I have some reservations about the first Batman movie, but I hope that with, I guess, more stronger direction. And I'm not talking about Matt Reeves directing. I'm just talking about with a stronger, more concrete direction in terms of story. I think we will be getting something extremely spectacular in the sequel to the Batman, and doesn't necessarily have to include the Joker. There are a lot of great Batman stories out there that quite
really are.
literally have nothing to do with the Joker. So people that hear that the Joker may not be in the Batman 2, not really a deal breaker for me. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what his vision is. I can't wait to see Pattinson's evolve into a Batman that we're more familiar with. And quite frankly, this is me personally. I need an upgrade on the suit, and I just would love to see what an upgrade of that suit, that Batmobile would look like, because I think that would be pretty sick and insane. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now I see that you had some stuff down for Shazam 2 and Aquaman.
yep.
They did play some trailers there for everyone. I'm not overly excited about Aquaman. I'm just not. I don't know why. I just can't get excited about it. I really enjoyed the first one,
It just
maybe
kind of
because it's so
sounds
far
from
out.
it just kind of sounds like from the footage description, and like I said, this is like a maybe 30-40 second clip of not even finished effects and whatever, but
Yeah.
just from what I've read online from the comments and the footage descriptions, you could read my article that kind of highlights the footage descriptions in terms of each DC movie that was shown. But it kind of just sounds like Thor: The Dark World to me in a way, like King Orm and Aquaman team up, and they kind of go through an adventure through the movie to kind of take down Black Manta, who's now like wielding ancient power and stuff like that. So I think they veered a little left in terms of where we were left off in Aquaman, the first one. I'm not in love. I don't know if people have seen it, but if you could look it up online. But King Orm's new look in this movie is a total miss for me. Kind of just reminds me of Tom Hanks and Castaway in a little bit, and that's not that
I
did
don't
not
think
hit
that's
for
going to be
me.
the
Yeah,
final look,
right.
honestly. I think
Uh,
they're going to have
yeah,
a
I
different
just
look
I
for it.
just didn't like the direction of that, I guess. Hopefully that's not something that's a more permanent look in the
See
movie,
if I can
but I'm
find it.
with you. I'm with you, man, honestly. I have reservations about Aquaman too. I have kind of a little bit of reservations about Shazam a little bit. I thought they could have gone better with the villain choice, but oh, here we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that's gonna have to take a couple hours for me to grow on, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm again, like I said, I'm not overly excited. I think it's more that it's just so far out.
Yeah.
I am excited about Shazam 2 because it is getting closer. Plus, I really did like the first Shazam,
Yep.
probably one of my favorite DC films. And they did show a little bit from that as well. I would expect to get like a full trailer probably by July,
Yep.
or a teaser no later than July for Shazam. It could be sooner. I've been trying to look at what Warner Brothers movies are coming out before then. I need to take a look because that'll give us a little idea of when we'll start seeing some of these teasers and trailers
Yep.
popping up. But yeah, I mean, when all is said and done, they did move Shazam Fury of the Gods, 3 or 4 days to not go up against Avatar like directly. So that's
I think the release date actually just got recently shifted within the last like couple of days, and I think it might be going straight head on with Avatar. Actually, I could be wrong. I know that the new release date, December 21st. So
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
maybe it is then. I thought it shifted the other way, but yeah, you might be
no,
right
yep.
then.
So it kind of looks like they're embracing that battle in a way.
Yeah.
I know I know David Sandberg has embraced that for a while now. So I'm excited for it. I personally think the villain choice could have been a little better, but
Yeah.
that's just me personally. So, but
Kind of
Helen
jumped the
Mirren's
gun
always a
there.
win.
Kind of jumped
Yeah,
the
the
gun there with the
Flash.
next
Yeah, it's the
Flash.
Flash, so it's usually allowed.
Well, on a good note, we don't need to talk about Ezra Miller today, but
Always a positive for sure.
that is a positive. But they did show some footage at CinemaCon for The Flash. Was about a not so much a trailer, but it was footage
Yeah.
from the movie. And one of the things that, or a couple of the things that people have pointed out were, first off, you do see some shots of Sasha Calle as Supergirl. They confirmed that General Zod was going to be in this, played by Michael Shannon. That Batman would have no less than 7 suits on display for his, I guess, over the years he's been Batman. And they do, there was a clip that they played where it was Michael Keaton, or that Batman iteration of Batman, saying, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts, which is
Probably the most
famous
famous line. Yeah.
from 1989's Batman. that kind of worries me. Like, why?
Yeah,
Like, it
that's
fit that movie for a specific reason. Like, he had to act unhinged in front of Joker in that scene for a specific reason. So, is this just pandering to the fans at this point? A lot of people seem to be excited about this movie. I think as we inch closer to it, because it seems like every time we take 4 or 5 steps towards it, it moves
10
back
steps
10.
backwards. Yeah.
So as we inch closer and closer to this movie, my excitement level just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. But yeah, what are
Which
your
is
thoughts?
unfortunate. It's unfortunate because me personally, I'm worried about this movie. This movie is something that we've talked countless times about. Is something that is proposed to reset this universe, or I guess just kind of rearrange the puzzle pieces in a way. And just hearing that Michael Shannon Zod's in it might lend some credence into the rumor that he kills Superman as a baby, which is, creative choices that could be spoken about for eons from now.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about this movie, honestly, not only from the behind the scenes drama with Ezra Miller, which thankfully we will not be talking about today, but it's something that is just kind of we'll wait and see approach. I know I've said that a lot about a lot of the movies that have come out, especially on the DC side of things, but that just reading the description, I didn't feel that wow factor. Once I read the let's get nuts thing, I'm just like, yeah, this kind of leans more into why I think putting Michael Keaton into this universe
It doesn't work.
is a strange choice in and of itself. And I feel like this movie is comprised probably of a lot of strange choices. And it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. But my worry level is a lot more higher than my hype level for this movie. And that's unfortunate because given what the movie is based off of and the storyline it's based off of, they could have done a whole bunch more that instead of run away from the Snyderverse in a way, kind of just deeply entrenched itself into the Snyderverse. And that's something that is a
They
missed
weren't gonna do.
opportunity. Yeah, and that's something, A, they weren't going to do, and B, missed opportunities. Like, I feel like Thomas Dean Morgan as a Flashpoint Batman, missed
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm confusing with Thomas Wayne and
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And then Laura Cohen as maybe like a female Joker, which is what we were introduced. Like,
It would have been amazing.
pieces were there, just weren't picked up and put in the right places, and
Yeah, it's
it's just going to
disappointing.
be interesting. Yeah, for
Definitely
sure.
disappointing. I do want to go out there for those of you who saw the leaked script or not script, but like plot and story that dropped for the Flash movie. I can assure you that while a good portion of that is accurate, a large portion of it is inaccurate. I went ahead and confirmed with who I was speaking with, who gave me the information I had that I talked about over the past couple weeks, and I was just like, look, some of this stuff is matching up with what you told me, and some of this stuff is kind of odd. What is going on? But there is a large portion of that that was completely made up. So just be weary of that or wary of that. That don't go and believe what you're reading 100%. Like I said, a portion of it, yes, absolutely, is exactly what I've been told on multiple occasions over the last year and a half of what's going to happen. But a lot of that also is just made up. People are just trying to fill in the blanks themselves and then try to look smart if it happens. So just be aware of that. The next thing.
I'm just
Okay.
worried. Just as a final thought, I'm just worried of how they're going to execute that Superman scene. If it's just going to be an exposition dump,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how that goes, or if they're going to flash it back and kind of show Zod killing a baby Superman, like I think it's poor taste in both ways you look at it. So it's going to be hard, and it's going to be a uphill battle for this movie since it is going to be a divisive movie. But we'll see, man. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting.
All right, moving on because we're going to jump into the Marvel Studio stuff here. First thing I actually want to talk about when it comes to Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige did get on stage at CinemaCon, and he pretty much brought the house down by just one thing that he said. He said that they've been at a retreat, him and a bunch of writers for Marvel, and they have been planning out the next 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what's even more exciting is that they're sitting there talking about this in the ways that, look, we have more to play with than we've ever had to ever before, because now we have this new dimension of the multiverse to play with as well. So that is absolutely incredible, because I'm one of those people who thought, like, oh, the multiverse is going to be closed up, done by the end of Doctor Strange. We're going to be done with the multiverse. But it sounds like it's in their plans, at least in some capacity, over the next 10 years, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, no, I think it's multiverse is a concept that, while they have done an expansive look into it, they haven't even scratched the surface in
No.
terms of just the overall scope and depth of the multiverse. And while Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which we'll get into in momentarily, will explore those depths, I think that the opportunities that are available to them in terms of maybe even leading up to the next Avengers movie, because remember, guys, Phase 4 does not have an Avengers movie.
No.
It basically, this phase is kind of a reset phase, trying to figure out where the direction is. And honestly, when I hear these things from Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige, I kind of throw my hands up and it's like, did you expect anything less? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he even has the next 20 years planned out, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to hear, and it's we already have 10 years of history to lean on, or even a little more now that it's maybe like 12 years of history to lean on. And to hear that it's probably going to go on for the next 10 years is fascinating, and give me all of it, honestly. I hope it doesn't get
Absolutely.
oversaturated with the Disney Plus shows, but we'll see what's going on with the cinematic side of things. But Marvel's just a machine that keeps on chugging along, so.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to jump into our main discussion here, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I have some things jotted down. I got some things on the top of my head I want to talk about. Just some theories that we've had for this movie up until this point, because they're playing with the multiverse, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this multiverse, and how they handle everything. Now, before we do this, though, I do want to bring this up because this just dropped,
Oh, this
and
is insane.
if you haven't seen it, well, just watch
Prepare
it.
yourself.
Right there. And that's all I'm going to show. I'm getting rid of it. Getting rid of it. Boom, down, gone. Because I don't want to get a strike or anything. But here's the crazy thing. All right. First off, there was speculation about Captain Carter being in this movie. Well, that right there
Confirmed.
solidifies
Yeah.
we're seeing Captain Carter in this movie, and it's a live action version of Captain Carter, which is fantastic. And then what was the yellow thing? That's Professor Xavier's chair that we saw in the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. And it was in the comics, and so they're getting away from the typical wheelchair and going that route, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So, now that we have that information, I'm sure you've seen probably every trailer, every TV spot that's come. What would you say is your most outrageous theory on who we might see in this movie?
So I'm going to go on a little bit of the familiar side. I think that while I think it's a pipe dream, I do really hope we get to see an Iron Man variant in here. I know a lot of people have pointed towards Tom Cruise maybe playing the Iron Man. I forgot the official name from the comics, but
Superior.
yes, Superior Iron Man, and he's part of the Illuminati. Think it's a long shot, but I literally feel like if that was shown on the big screen, my jaw would drop to the floor, honestly. And
Yeah.
that's something that would be really extremely cool. My hope is that we do get some sort of reference to Deadpool standing in this universe, given that the multiverse is about to be, I guess, opened up and broken up. So I guess those are my two hopes. Honestly, I do feel a little reserved, and I'm a little worried that they play it safe with the cameos. But from what they've shown so far, and this is just me, I think if they've shown that in that 14-second clip, then what the hell else is in this movie? Because they are extremely selective and very
Now,
strategic in terms of what they release. And if they showed Captain Britain, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel variant, and what they showed in that 14-second teaser, then I have to wonder, like, how expansive is this delve into the multiverse going to be? Like, are we going to get a Wolverine cameo? Are we going to get this, that, and the other, a Mr. Fantastic cameo, something like that. That's honestly my biggest hope, is that we get finally a John Krasinski Mr. Fantastic
Oh
moment. But
yes, yes,
that's
we have
my
to.
that would be my most outrageous one
You
there.
know,
So
it's interesting you say that, because Kevin Feige at CinemaCon did come out and say, I wish we could show you Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, because they do show movies at this event, and he goes, we just can't. There's just too much in it. We can't show you it. So we're going to show you 20 minutes, and they showed a little bit of it, and they showed 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of the movie they showed to CinemaCon goers, and we've seen bits of that in some of the marketing. They released a clip today of Doctor Strange saving America Chavez, from the whole bus scene. We've seen it multiple times in the
yeah,
trailer. So that's part of that 20 minutes that we saw, but there's some things that we didn't see. And it gets you kind of excited about like what could be coming, because if they're going to show a 15-second spot like that, which shows, like we know Xavier, now we see Captain Carter. Now, like, what is it that we're getting in this movie that that they're like, oh, we can show some of this stuff because we got all this over here. I've been hearing, and this is something that's been going for a while, is Wolverine's going to pop up. So that, like, for me, that is my wild going out on a limb. This is who we're going to see in this movie, because I truly believe we're going to see Deadpool. I think there's no doubt in my mind that we see some version of Captain America in some form or fashion, some version of Iron Man. I think we're going to see different versions of these characters, but the one that people really want to see that we have no confirmation on is Wolverine, and I think we're going to get the MCU's version moving forward of Wolverine. So who's going to be playing it? How do they keep it a secret? And a lot of people are like, how do they can't keep something like that, a casting like that? How would they keep secret? Well, they kept Harry Styles a secret from the Eternals.
until the day it premiered, literally.
Exactly. So they can keep this stuff pretty well wrapped and hidden. So I truly think that's, for me, that's my wild theory, that we're going to get Wolverine in this movie, and it is going to be the MCU Wolverine that we see moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, while it's always nice for them to lean into the characters that we've seen, they do have to push their vision of the X-Men Fantastic Four forward. And I personally think Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier, is somebody that will always forever be one of my favorite characters that I was introduced to in the early 2000s. It's time for somebody else to, I guess, take a seat in that wheelchair. It's time for somebody else to put Magneto's helmet on. It's time for somebody else to don the claws for Wolverine. And I think it's going to be exciting, and
Yeah.
it's a vision to embrace. Has Marvel really failed us yet? Honestly. And while you could point little things here and there, overall, their casting has been kind of spot on at this point, and I truly
Yeah.
just have no doubts in them, honestly, at this point.
And it's crazy to think, because like I have gotten some information on Doctor Strange, and I can tell you right now, I have no information whether Wolverine is in this thing or not. I wish I did. I've gotten a lot less of information on this movie than I have on a lot of other movies in the past, year or so. So to sit there and think about, like, the possibilities, it's endless, because they are really keeping this under wraps, which I think is fantastic.
Right.
No pun intended, because I do think that we're going to get some of the Fantastic Four in this movie. Mr. Fantastic, like you said, I think it's going to be John Krasinski as well. At least I hope it is.
Yeah.
If not John Krasinski, I wouldn't mind seeing, what's his name, Ian or Yon or Jan, or I don't know how to say his name, Grufford,
From the
whatever.
original,
From the
originals,
originals, yeah. From the ones that came out in the like 2003, 4, 5 time frame. I wouldn't mind seeing him pop up if it's just kind of like a one-off, like he's here and then he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind that, but I definitely hope that John Krasinski does become the MCU.
I think it's
fantastic.
I think this movie is going to be fascinating. I think, in simplistic terms, from what I've read online, this is straight up a Wanda versus Doctor Strange sort of conflict, with the multiverse as the backdrop of it. And that's something that, I'll be honest with you, is intriguing to me, tantalizing to me, because we've seen Wanda from Age of Ultron, and it's always been a hero story. And then you kind of saw the darkness a little bit in WandaVision, then obviously how it ended, you can kind of see where her character was going, and the basic premise of her just trying to find her kid through the multiverse, and in
Yeah.
probably in theory breaking the multiverse while trying to do that, and then Doctor Strange coming along and trying to help her. But it turned, it's fascinating. If you watch the trailers extremely carefully, you can kind of see that wherever the Illuminati is, a big scene takes place with Wanda, and it kind of looks like she kind of takes on the Illuminati all on her own. There's a picture that was released from, I believe, Total Film magazine that has the Ultron robot head covered in blood. So she's just gonna let it rip in this movie,
Oh,
I
she
feel like,
is.
and
She
and that's
totally is.
something that is overdue and is exciting, honestly. And wouldn't be surprised
So
if she becomes the next big villain moving forward, honestly.
yeah.
So
So do you have any other kind of theories on who else, any other people? Deadpool, I think, is a given. When it comes to the Illuminati, we know Mr. Fantastic, Professor Xavier, we got Mordo that's going to be there. Do you think, like, who else do you think could possibly
I
be on
think it
that
would be.
Illuminati?
I think it's a little. I think it's stepping out on a limb to say, just given the tragic events that happened, but I think it'd be interesting to see if they introduce a new version of Black Panther to us. Maybe like a variant version of Black Panther to us who sits on the Illuminati. I know people have tried to dissect that one scene where Doctor Strange is like
Yeah.
approaching the Illuminati, and you kind of see someone sitting in a similar pose as to like Chadwick Boseman sitting, or Black Panther sitting on his throne.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to hold that to it. I think it would be really interesting, and I think it'd be something that can kind of lead right into Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
But personally, I in terms of theories, my biggest theory is that Wong actually dies in this movie. That's my biggest theory that I think could be very possible, honestly. I think we're going to get I think the movie is going to have its ebbs and flows, and personally I think I think the universe that we're going to spend the most time in is this zombie universe, which is cool in and of itself, because that What If episode was awesome. And if they can just lean more into the craziness that we saw in What If, I think it'd be pretty cool, honestly. I think one of the way out there theories that I saw was that this brings the, I guess, Prime Ultron that we were introduced to in What If into the main continuity of the MCU. And
Actually, I would not hate that. Now, I think it doesn't fit, I don't think, with this particular story that we're about to get.
yeah,
But, so many people sit there and talk about, oh, who's the next big bad for the MCU? We had Thanos, which built over 10 years of movies to get to that. And I don't think that they should wait that long anymore for these big bads. I think they need to come and go over like a 4 to 5 year span of time where it kind of like builds up to it. Boom, it's done, it's dealt with, move on to the next one. And I think that's what they need to do. Now, is that what they're doing? Who knows? But I wouldn't hate seeing that Ultron come back, because Ultron was shortchanged
yeah,
in the Age of Ultron. But the way that they left him, he could come back, and it'd be interesting to see that maybe not that Ultron from the What If show, but our Ultron somehow comes to realization that, oh, I can become that.
yeah.
And that's his mission. So I think that'd be kind of cool to see, if that kind of expanded, not necessarily directly from this movie, but the groundwork was laid for that in this film. I think would be cool. And now that you're moving away from kind of who we're going to see, I like the idea that Wong could die, but I truly think that it's going to be Christine Palmer that dies in this film. I do. I think Steven has talked about having nightmares. And I think the biggest nightmare for him is going to be losing Christine Palmer, because it's the love of his life. And we saw that in the What If show as well. And it would just kind of it would flow with that. You wouldn't have to see that, but it would flow. And I think an interesting aspect would be, now think about this. We don't know if Christine Palmer blipped or not. We don't know if she was gone with the snap.
No.
Is that why she's getting married to somebody else? Because over the 5 years, she met somebody and they got together, and now they're getting married. And
Yeah.
then Steven starts having these nightmares about different things, and goes from there.
I think the What If episode that focused on Doctor Strange trying to fix, I believe what was it called, the fix points in the timeline, or absolute, I forgot what it was called in the specific episode, but I think even leaning in that a little bit would be interesting to see. You know, I mean, obviously we're going to get different variants of Doctor Strange as they come, and obviously while I'm not too entirely sure it's the same Doctor Strange that we had in What If, that like, I don't know, there's just so many different directions this movie can go in. You obviously have Mordor in there, who's going to have to follow up to what was being teased at the end of Doctor Strange. Then you have Wanda as the backdrop. You have no idea who the hell is stepping through that multiverse as a villain as well. And it's just going to be interesting to see, honestly. I
Yeah.
think there's just so many things you could think about in this movie that I hope it doesn't end up disappointing fans having unrealistic expectations. But I do believe Marvel has a couple of aces up their sleeve for sure, and I'm sure my jaw will be dropped to the floor for certain scenes for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think, I like I said, I like the idea that Wong could die. However, I do think that's most likely going to be Christine Palmer, but maybe not. Who knows? Maybe it is Wong. I mean, Doctor Strange has to become the, um, what's his name? Wow, I can't think. I can't think at all right now. The
Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme. There we go. Yeah, thank you. At some point, because Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme right now. So
Yeah,
I guess if Wong were to die,
on a technicality, which he does point out.
yes.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to delve in, because it does seem like it does come up. Just delving more into Doctor Strange without the Time Stone, like that is a
Yeah.
major problem in this current timeline that we have right now. Is that Time Stone is nowhere to be found. It's obviously in the past. It's a paperweight, if according to what you watch. And it's going to be interesting. Going back to, I guess, where we were beginning this conversation, I think it'd be great to see Loki, maybe even Sylvie, kind of get a follow up to what happened at the end of Loki's show.
Yeah.
Personally, I would love to see Kang just show up. I guess a variant of Kang, or maybe even a hint while he's traveling through the multiverse that
Maybe.
Kang is coming, and that is a threat. And you
Yeah.
have to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania to kind of get a follow up to that. But even a hint at that, I think, would be pretty cool, honestly. And yeah, this movie can go a lot of different directions, but for the most part, I think it will have its lasting impact on the MCU moving forward for sure. And yeah.
Yeah. So here's the two theories. Now, the one that I've been talking about for a number of months, this one here, I heard just yesterday, and I thought it was kind of interesting. The first one is the one I just heard yesterday, that we'll get an understanding in this movie that the MCU can't talk. The continuity is not the main continuity. That there is a different universe that is technically the main continuity of Marvel universe. I think that'd be kind of interesting if we got that kind of reveal in this movie.
Yeah, that'd be a 180 on me for sure. That would that'd be something for sure. That would be I guess it might confuse fans in a way in a little bit, but in
Yeah.
reality it's I feel like the point of this movie is that anything and everything is in play. Like anything that you've seen in the past, in play. Anything that you've
Yeah.
seen currently, in play. Everything that you will see in the future, in play. And they get to pick and choose, kind of, in a way. That's kind of the point of them owning, I want to say 90 or like 85, 90% of their characters now, except for obviously Sony's characters that they have over there. But
Yeah.
ooh, it's going to be interesting for sure. That's it's going to be a fascinating movie. And
My
then what's
my
your second
other
theory?
my other theory, which I think is great, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I'm not saying I made this up. I heard this somewhere else a few months back, and I think I brought it up on the show once already. But that mutants were present in the Marvel Cinematic Universe continuity in the past. But Wanda, when she was younger, did not understand her powers, and she House of M them years ago after her
Interesting.
parents died, or when her parents died. And then this movie reverses that, so that mutants were always around and people knew about mutants back in the day. But there was an event where she erased them from continuity and that we learned that in this movie, and then she brings them into it, brings them back at the end of this film.
That would be that'd be something for sure. I think Wanda's powers are really going to be shown on a full scale display this movie, and
Yeah.
people are going to be surprised by her actions, the
And
way the story unfolds, and yeah,
I think that we're going to see something here between Strange and Wanda because, you know, we've seen bits and pieces of it that, you know, we know that Wanda is just heartbroken. She's lost Vision, and
her
then
kids.
her kids, even though they weren't real, she lost these kids. And I think that's where the Stephen Strange connection is going to kind of come in, because I think Stephen is going to be worried in some form or fashion. He's going to be having these nightmares of losing. I'm sticking with the Christine Palmer thing here,
Yeah,
but he's going to be worried that he's losing Christine Palmer. And it's going to be that fear that kind of drives him. And he thinks that the events that Wanda creates or is going to create is what happens, or maybe something like that. But they're both going to be struggling with the idea of loss.
yeah,
And one is going to come out have lost everything, and one's going to come out not losing everything. And I think it's going to be, honestly, when I sit here and think about it, it's going to be Strange comes out the one who doesn't lose everything, and Wanda just continues to lose more and more, creating a villain for the Avengers to take on at some point.
yeah. No, I think it's quite frankly, I think it's honestly the natural progression of her character. Ever
Yeah.
since the events of WandaVision, and obviously those are referenced in the show, and it becomes a big in the movie, and it becomes a big focal point in terms of why she's ripping through the multiverse to find her kids, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe there's room for a White Vision cameo somewhere out there, or maybe even a reference to his current whereabouts, because obviously him just floating into the sky right at the end of WandaVision is totally a loose end that I'm not satisfied with. And yeah, like I said, Wanda versus Doctor Strange movie with the multiverse as a backdrop is something
Yeah.
that sells itself at this point, honestly. And I believe we are less than 10 days out from it, so can't wait. I got my tickets for April 5th. I
One
seriously
week, 1 week
cannot
from
wait.
today, it actually comes out. So
Cannot wait. I know at this time next week I will be sitting in the theaters waiting for Marvel's little title presentation to come through. I probably will be humming the little orchestra music that plays with it, and I honestly just can't wait. It's going to be a great experience, and I will definitely be seeing it more than once, because that's a movie
yeah.
that will be broken down into pieces at that point. So
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. Are you excited for Doctor Strange? What are your theories? I want to hear what your theories are. I love hearing about what people are thinking is going to happen in these movies. That's some of that's some of the fun
yeah,
behind a franchise like this, is just theorizing and discussing the possibilities of what's to come. And believe it or not, we've missed that for some time. Even with No Way Home, we kind of knew what was going on there.
yeah,
It hasn't been since before Endgame came out where you could really sit there and theorize about some crazy things that could be going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let us know in the comments what you think. Hit us up on Twitter and say, hey, I was thinking this, I heard this. Now, yeah, our show next Thursday is going to be the show that, it's releasing that day. So we'll have a show next Thursday. I'm not seeing it till next Saturday. Which
okay,
is the first for me. Normally, I see things opening day,
yeah.
but I decided to wait. I'm just taking all my kids, or most of my kids, to see it that Saturday. So I'm not
I
going to
guess
get
I'll
to
get a
talk about it
little.
till a week later.
I guess I'll have the early jump on you for sure. So hopefully I won't be. Hopefully I
Definitely. But
won't
what I
be
want to
too.
do is hopefully I can get you to kind of record something to put up on
Okay.
the channel so people can see, at
Oh,
least
my
what your
solo
thoughts were
debut.
pretty soon.
My
So maybe
solo
we'll
debut.
talk about that. We'll get it figured out. But yeah, so let us know in the comments, what your theories are for this. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, all that jazz. So next week we're not going to be talking Doctor Strange per se, maybe some things that we've heard, some of the reviews and reactions we'll talk about, but I don't know yet what we're talking about next week, so keep an eye out for that. We have to figure out what we're talking about next week
Moon Knight's conclusion for sure. That's
for sure.
something that that's a concrete topic that you'll
And
hear about.
honestly, it might be a news heavy week because we'll have Moon Knight finale. If the rumors are true that we get an Obi-Wan trailer on May 4th. So
Keep
yeah.
forgetting that May 4th is that week too. It's going to be a very lucrative week for the mouse. So
Yes, yes.
it's going to be fun for sure.
For sure. For sure. But with all that said, guys, thank you. Oh man, so much for watching. I can't
I was
stop.
just gonna ask for a quick shout out really quick.
Yeah.
So I have this pin right here. I'm gonna show it right over there. Kind of highlights my Puerto Rican heritage, but is also the Joker as well. You can find pins like that on Caps and Curls. That's their Instagram, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out. They do a really good job of honing into the Puerto Rican heritage and just the Spanish heritage out there, and it's honestly pretty sick. Honestly, it's kind of
Excellent.
like a mixer of the Joker and like the Pittsburgh Pirates hat and the Pittsburgh Pirates logo. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to my friends over at Cap and Curls. So
That's awesome.
cool.
But with all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you all and talk at all of you later. There we go.